and welcome to yet another brilliant episode of Diplomatic License right here on CCTV. My name is Apioko, and today my guest is none other than Her Excellency Stephanie Sanders Sullivan, the Ambassador of the United States of America to Ghana. And this episode is extremely special for me. For those of you who don't know, I have a very deep connection with the United States of America. And so for me to be with the Ambassador today and next week as well, because as you know, I will be spending 2 weeks with her so that you can watch and listen and learn from her. I mean, it's more than an honor and more than a blessing. So I'm just going to ring the doorbell. I'm sure Her Excellency will come open the door, and then we get right into a conversation, which I imagine will be beyond revealing. Hello,
hi,
I'm here. Thank you. Thank you.
How are you
I'm
today?
very well. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here, and I know you're extremely busy, so for you to take some time off to meet with me, chat with me, and, you know, get my viewers to learn something about you, that I'm very grateful for.
Well, it's my honor, and I'm really looking forward to our chat and having a chance to show you our ad a bit.
Absolutely. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going for a quick break, and when we return, Her Excellency Stephanie Sanders Sullivan of the United States of America reveals whatever she needs to reveal. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and you're still watching Diplomatic License right here on City TV. My name is Apioko, and of course, you met my guest in the beginning of the show. She is Her Excellency Stephanie Sanders Sullivan, the Ambassador of the United States of America to Ghana. And she's been in Ghana for a while, but somehow this is the first time I'm getting to meet her. And for those of you who know my connection to the United States, you can imagine how honored and how excited I am. And I imagine that this conversation is going to be a, you know, class 101 pretty much on diplomacy. Hello.
Hi, Apioko. It's so nice to have you here at my residence.
Thank you so much for having me. So where we are today is the Chief of Missions Residence. Yes, so the United States of America has a Chief of Missions Residence, the CMR. I've learned that it's called in Ghana, and I'm so blessed and honored to be here. Okay,
You're welcome.
Thank you. So let's start this conversation, and of course it's about you. Which part of the U.S. are you from?
Well, in the Northeast, I've lived in several states. I was actually born in Connecticut and moved to New York State when I was about 6 years old. And then my husband and I now have a home in Maryland. Okay, so you're very much Northeast, East Coast gang, as we call it, right? No gang membership, but definitely East Coast roots.
Okay, that's fine. And what was it like growing up? And so do you remember at what point you moved to New York from Connecticut? Were you old enough to remember?
I do remember, yes. We remember the moving boxes and the moving vans. I don't think that gave me the idea to become a diplomat and move a lot in my adult life. But you know, we moved from one very nice community to another nice community. And I'm still very much in touch with my childhood friends from New York State. Okay, so about how old were you when you moved from Connecticut?
I was 6. Okay, so you remember some of your childhood there?
Sure.
What was it like?
You mean in Connecticut?
Yes, in Connecticut.
Well, actually, our family had the Yale Mascot, which is a bulldog, and Handsome Dan 9 and Handsome Dan 10 were our family pets. So we used to go to the American football games at Yale University, and then after we moved to New York, we continued to commute to New Haven or other games, maybe at Princeton or Columbia, and bring the dog. So we always had very good seating and lots of attention focused on our pet dog.
How did that happen? How did your family dog become Yale's mascot, official mascot? How did that happen?
So my dad was an associate geology professor at Yale, and we had some cats that were pets, and my mom was at the vet one day, and Handsome Dan 9 was at the vet, and the family was exasperated and didn't want him anymore. So my mom said, well, we'll take him, and that's how it happened.
Brilliant, brilliant. And so what was it like living with a celebrity pet, you know, pretty much? Yes.
Well, of course, as kids, you know, we complained and didn't want to walk the dog on most days. But when there was a live televised football match, and my two brothers and I would fight over who got to walk the dog around the field at halftime.
All of a sudden, everybody wanted to walk the dog.
That's right. That's right.
And so you have two brothers. Are those your only siblings?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what was it like growing up the only girl amongst, you know, boys? How was
Well,
that?
I wanted to do what they did, so I was a bit of a tomboy. I played a lot of sports, which through college and even beyond. And in fact, when I lived in Ghana previously, I played with the Postcom ladies football team.
Yes,
I've
heard, and I hear you were excellent at it.
Actually, I was not fit to polish the boots of my teammates, half of whom were on the Black Queens. But I was a big supporter, and it was very exciting when Ghana's first entry into the World Cup was the Black Queens in the United States in 1999.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's travel back to Connecticut. So now it's time to move. What were your parents like? And you mentioned that your father was an associate geology professor. What did your mom do?
So actually she had 3 kids in diapers, and she went on to get her master's degree at that time.
I see where you get your strength
in
from.
art.
In art? Oh.
Right. So she later became an art teacher, and so I had 2 working parents growing up, so it was just a normal thing.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, what kinds of inspirations do you think you drew from them now? I mean, then, sorry, that have influenced you in your adult life? I mean, because I just mentioned, say your mom must be a strong woman. She had young kids. She went on to get her master's degree during that time, and became, you know, an artist more or less. And then your dad, of course, was a professor, was an academic. So what kinds of inspirations do you believe that you drew from them then that have influenced your adult and career life now?
Well, interestingly, I spent 2 years as an English teacher in the now DRC as a Peace Corps volunteer. And so it seemed like a natural thing to go into teaching. But I've always enjoyed learning myself. I think to be a good teacher, you have to be a lifelong student. And then I've enjoyed bringing people together and brainstorming and figuring out how to do things even better, and partner with others in a very inclusive way. So I don't think it was a bad preliminary career for me to have on my way to becoming a diplomat.
Brilliant. So now let's talk about New York. So family moves to New York. Which part of New York?
Well, it's a village called Dobbs Ferry. It's actually called a village. And it's along the Hudson River, about 20 miles north of Manhattan.
Okay, and it's interesting that you mentioned that it's a village, because a lot of Ghanaians watching, I know, and probably people from around the world, don't know that New York City is not the only part of New York State. So you've got New York State, of course. New York City is not even the capital, officially speaking. And I mean, so you grew up along the Hudson River, a very popular river. It shows up in many movies that come out of Hollywood, many books that people have written over the years. What was it like growing up around that river? What kind of memories do you have from the time?
Well, it was there was like a gathering place for people from the village to have picnics. The 4th of July, community 4th of July celebration was there. Fireworks on the river. It was a very quiet town, about 12,000 inhabitants when I lived there. I think it's probably doubled at least by now.
And what are some of the activities that you used to do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, for a while I took some music lessons. I was terrible at the violin. I was pretty bad at the piano. I was a brownie in the Girl Scouts for a couple of years. But we at that time we did a lot of unstructured activities. There was actually a golf course really close to the neighborhood, and we would play baseball or other games until our parents called us home for dinner.
It sounds like the good old days. You know,
without the gadgets. It was a simpler time.
Without the gadgets.
No gadgets. There was a pond. We used to skate till dark on the pond. I loved skating. Later played on Brown University's ice hockey team, women's team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're an all-around sportswoman, and we'll get to that. Because I want to see what your progression was like, but we'll get to that. So my family lived in this beautiful village in New York. I imagine it was very picturesque. I mean, that's how it's coming to mind. But What were your favorite subjects in school, for example?
Well, our elementary school, we had a primary school, middle school, and senior high school.
Okay.
So in middle school, we were doing something unusual by starting languages. So I started with French language earlier than many people in other places in New York. And I really liked, it was like decoding, you know, a whole nother world. And so I really liked languages. I continued with that in secondary school, learning a little bit of Spanish. I also studied Latin. And it was just fun to see the connections. Those are all Romance languages. And I was not very good at math. And I loved English, literature, reading, that type of thing.
Brilliant. What were some of your favorite poems, some of your favorite novels, if you can remember?
Sure. We read a very important novel called Moby Dick. By Herman Melville, and that was a kind of a rite of passage at the school I went to, and we had to do a end-of-year report on it. We also read a lot of Shakespeare, Hamlet. We had really wonderful teachers, and I think later when I was a teacher, I thought back on how had they kind of captured our imaginations. It's very tempting when you're a student to just space out and not pay attention, so I tried to replicate the best practices of those captivating teachers.
Did you identify with any of the characters in the texts you read?
Oh, I don't. I hope my team doesn't think I'm Captain Ahab from Moby Dick. Not particularly.
No, not really.
I mean, there weren't that many classic texts that had
Women,
female protagonists.
Yeah. Sure.
But if you want to know my most influential book in my whole life, that I still refer to this day. It's a little children's book called The Little Engine That Could. And that is a very empowering book for young girls because it's about a train that breaks down and it's delivering toys to all the good boys and girls on the other side of the mountain. And it asks all these other trains for help and they're either too busy or too tired. And then this bright, shiny, young female train comes along and doesn't think she can do it, but wants to be helpful and says, I think I can, I think I can. She makes it over the mountain in time to deliver all the toys. And so, you know, that's not a book that at the time I said, wow, I'm going to be a very determined individual. But that's the kind of affirming literature, even at a young age, that can send very positive messages to young boys and girls.
That's a very profound message because a lot of the time, you know, when we think of literature, we think of books. We don't think of the ones that our kids are reading, and I'm talking the toddlers, the ones in kindergarten. And that forms a very strong basis or not for the people they become. So I'm going to look for that book, and I'll have my own kids read it.
Great.
I'll have my daughter read it. You know, she's very boisterous anyway, so.
Well, it was, in retrospect, very inspirational. And I would say that, you know, a lot of times when we try to engage with our own kids or nieces, nephews, we interrogate them and they freeze up, they don't know what to say, but sometimes it's interesting to ask a question like, tell me about a book you liked. And then they maybe will open up a bit and it's not just kind of the same boring grown-up question that they get.
True.
So you've been asking good questions, not boring grown-up questions.
Thank you. I've been asking good questions. Affirmation, affirmation. Okay, so you loved literature in school, you loved English. You weren't too good at math, but that doesn't matter because you're an ambassador and, you know, you made it.
Nobody asked for my grades from second grade math class.
Exactly. But let's talk about the sportswoman in you. Now, I mean, you mentioned ice hockey, you mentioned ice skating over the river when you were younger. We've mentioned soccer or football for those of you who live in this part of the world and are more familiar with that. What else do you play? Or did you play?
Well, I played field hockey for a couple of years, but didn't really care for that so much. I played lacrosse in college, and I also played basketball. I really enjoyed playing basketball.
So you mentioned earlier that because you had brothers, you were a bit of a tomboy because you wanted to do some of the things that they did. Did that influence you becoming so sporty?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of what we did as a family.
Yeah.
weekends.
But what led to you taking it further? Because, I mean, it's a different thing playing with your brothers when you're younger and trying to keep up with their energy. But then to play at collegiate level and beyond, that you must have sat down to think through and say, I want to do this.
Well, I think it was kind of normal growing up that you have schoolwork, you have your music lessons, you have your athletic endeavors. So it wasn't really a conscious decision. It was just part of the landscape. But I will say this was the dawn of Title IX, which, as you know, enabled women's sports to really try to catch up in terms of equalized funding and opportunities. And I think nowadays I probably wouldn't have, been able to make the varsity team because the competition is so fierce, which is a wonderful thing because there are so many opportunities.
Right.
But at that time, if you wanted to play, you pretty much could play.
Okay. Okay. And what kinds of experiences did you have? What are some of your most memorable moments when you were playing sports actively?
Well, we had a lot of brutal training sessions, but you can't just show up on the field without practicing. And so that's an important lesson even for one's professional life. We also, I had incredible leadership opportunities as captain for 2 years of our women's soccer team.
Oh, you were captain.
Captain of our ice hockey team. And then there you really see how important it is to have harmony on the team and people to understand what their particular role is from their position. And I played goalie for several years until I broke too many fingers. And then I moved to fullback.
Were you diving a lot?
Whatever I had to do, right? It takes a certain mentality to be a goalie. But it also, you can't then wallow in the ball that gets by. It requires a certain mental toughness. You have to fish the ball out. You have to stay focused. Later you can try to figure out the lessons learned, but you can't do that in the moment. And so I think, again, without knowing it at the time, I developed a lot of self-discipline for my scheduling, and I didn't just fritter away the time. When I knew I had a certain amount of time for sports, I knew I had a certain amount of time for my studies and my homework and my papers. So it gave me a lot of structure.
Brilliant. Okay, so now let's talk about what you studied in college and what college you went to, first of all. So where did you go and what did you study?
Well, I went to Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. In our system, we often, at least before the pandemic, we tried to visit the places we're interested in going. And it was a rainy weekend, and I thought, wow, I really like this place. And even if I like it this much in the rain, how much more in the springtime and good weather. And so I applied to Brown, and I got in early, and that was the end of the story.
So what did you study?
I studied classics.
Okay.
So you might say that's not very practical for this day and age, but it allowed me to continue with language and literature and history. And I didn't quite know what I would do with it, but it seemed enjoyable at the time. I actually started out thinking I would major in geology, like my dad.
Like your dad?
And I had taken some geology courses in high school. But then they veered into kind of harder science and chemistry and things like that. And I thought, I don't really enjoy this anymore. Let me do something I really enjoy.
So what was it about the classics that you loved? Was it the languages? Was it, again, the literature? Or were you learning things that you felt were different from what you'd have learned if you did maybe straight English, for example?
Well, I think it opened not just a different part of the world to me, but a different era, and offered the comparison between, is there really anything new under the sun? What happened during the Peloponnesian War, and look at the wars that were ongoing at that time. And so it just offered a depth of perspective on history, on people, on human nature.
But let's talk about some of the other things that you did in your life. So, of course, there were the academics, I'm sure. Was there anything else that you were involved in as a young woman in college in Brown?
Well, one summer I worked at a camp for handicapped adults on Martha's Vineyard. And I didn't really think a lot about it. I just thought, oh, it would be really nice to spend the summer on Martha's Vineyard. As I was on the ferry going over, and a friend of mine had worked there and said, oh, you should do this. I thought, wow, what am I getting myself into? I really didn't have a lot of experience with people living with disabilities. And I was assigned to be basically 24/7 with a 27-year-old man who was a quadriplegic with cerebral palsy.
How old were you at this time?
I was 20. Yeah. And it was like a big immersion. There's a whole different culture. Whether it's, you know, sign language, there were hard of hearing people there, there were people, you know, without sight, there were people with Down syndrome, there were people who were paraplegic or other situations, and it was very eye-opening for me. I had kind of led a very sheltered life, and I realized that I could step up and rise to the occasion, and we had a really good time. It was really fun. I learned so much, and it just, again, it opened my eyes to a whole new part of our world and our landscape. And around the time there was the Americans with Disability Act that was being talked about, and otherwise I might not have paid attention to it, but I realized, wow, it's really hard to move this wheelchair from point A to point B if there's no ramp.
Right.
And so it opened my eyes and broadened my perspective in a lot of ways. And later, when I was getting ready to get on the plane to go to the Peace Corps, the great unknown experience, I thought about that, and I said, well, I didn't get off the ferry on the way to working at this camp, so let me see if I can also do this.
Yeah. At what point did diplomacy come in? Because I would have imagined that at this point, you're probably thinking teaching, maybe a sports career. Where did diplomacy come into the mix?
It took a few years after my graduation, because I even thought maybe I would be a lawyer. My family said I like to argue, so I would be a good lawyer. But I didn't meet my first diplomats until I was overseas and working in the former DRC. And then I met, you know, by chance, some American diplomats and learned about their work and what they did, and I thought I could do that. So in our system, you have to take a written exam, and then there's an oral assessment, and it takes time. It's quite a difficult path.
So it's not just by appointment, you actually have to go through the diplomatic system?
Well, we have probably about maybe 35% of our ambassadors are appointed who didn't come up through the diplomatic service. But everyone else normally would come up from being a junior diplomat and working their way through the system. So the first year I took the exam, it was, you know, pencil and paper. I came in from my village to the capital, and I was on village time, and you know, I couldn't even get through the English grammar section, which was my forte, because I was on village time and I hadn't gotten through about 2/3 of the questions. Wow. And they said, okay, time's up. And so I didn't pass that year, and then I took it.
How did you feel?
Well, I felt really strange when I couldn't even complete the part that was easy. Yeah. But I thought, well, you know, I'm not unemployed, I'm doing my thing, so let me try again next year. So there's a little bit of that little engine that could.
Exactly.
I think I can, I think I can. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I have to do this or my life will be over. It was like, all right, let me try again. So the next year I tried again, and I also didn't pass. And then the following year I did pass. So when people ask me, what is the test like? What's it a test of? Or I ask them and they say, oh, it's a test of history and economics. And I said, okay, but it's actually a test of persistence. And, you know, I think a lot of times people look at others who are in a position of prominence or success, and they don't imagine this person didn't come out of their mother's womb a success at this level. You know, they started somewhere, they tried, they made mistakes, they learned from those mistakes, they persisted, they kept going. I think I can, I think I can. And I never imagined I'd be here today talking with you in my residence, that is the Chief of Mission residence in Accra.
All the way in Accra, Ghana. I mean, you're a walking inspiration. And I hope that a lot of people are taking inspiration from what you're saying, because I think it's a difficult time that we're living in. Especially with COVID, a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people don't know where to go next. There are people whose life courses have changed for other reasons. People are struggling to find inspiration. And listening to you, the little engine in you that you're a walking inspiration. And thank you for being so honest about your failures that have led to your successes. Okay. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I will try to do justice to the StarSpangled Banner, the U.S. national anthem, and the Ghana national anthem, and then I continue my conversation with Her Excellency Stephanie Sanders Sullivan, who obviously is a ball of energy, and she's what I think every woman should aspire to be. We'll be right back. By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong, bold to defend forever the cause of freedom and of right. Fill our hearts with true humility, make us cherish fearless honesty, and help us to resist oppressors' rule with all our will and might forevermore, and help us to resist oppressors' rule with all our will and might forevermore. Okay, so I told you I was going to try my hands at the StarSpangled Banner, which is the anthem, the national anthem of the United States of America, of course, in honor of my guest, Her Excellency Stephanie Sanders Sullivan. And she's clapped for me. She's giving me a round of applause, so I believe I did well. And then also, I did the Ghana national anthem composed by Philip Beho. And let me just backtrack a bit. If you're wondering who composed the StarSpangled Banner, it was written by a lawyer and a lay poet, an amateur poet, Francis Scott Key. So go read your history and understand who he is. It was inspired by the American flag, which at the time had 15 stars during the Battle of Baltimore. And he wrote a poem, and the first stanza is what I sang. So we'll be right back, and when we come back, we learn about some of the things that the United States, especially under the auspices of the Embassy of America, of the United States of America in Ghana, through the leadership of Her Excellency Stephanie Sanders Sullivan, have been doing for entrepreneurs, and female entrepreneurs at that, here in Ghana. Welcome back. You're still watching Diplomatic License right here on City TV. My name is Apioko, and my guest today, of course, is Her Excellency Stephanie Sanders Sullivan, the Ambassador of the United States of America to Ghana. And at this point, we're taking a look at her phenomenal art collection. It's really impressive. And I mean, if you were listening earlier, and if you did miss out, let me just tell you, her mom is an artist and an art teacher. So it sort of makes sense why, you know, she has this connection to art. Okay. You're excellent. What are we looking at here?
So, Appy, I'm so excited to have this opportunity to share this collection with you and our viewers today. This is I call this a fish painting.
Fish.
By Kobina Nyarko, an artist based in Takoradi. And I bought it without the frame 20 years ago at the Artists Alliance when it was at its previous location. And I just loved it. I loved the movement, I loved the color. And then had it framed back home in Silver Spring, Maryland. And when coming here to prepare as ambassador, I thought, well, I would love to have a Kobina Nyarko in my collection with art and embassies. And the Art and Embassies program is at many different ambassadors' residence around the world as an opportunity to stimulate conversation and talk about the things we have in common with the country we're serving in. And I'm happy to have this opportunity today. So I've met Kobina Nyarko since coming to Ghana this time, and he's delightful. And I can't wait to show you some of his other works.
Absolutely. And what's really getting me is the fact that you bought this 21 years ago. You took it back home, and then you brought it back with you. It says a lot about your connection to Kobina Nyarko and his work, and even to Ghana. You know, maybe we didn't realize it, but you're destined to be here as ambassador.
Well, I don't know. I have a Sankofa staff over there.
Oh, wow.
And the Sankofa symbol, it's actually the symbol of the AAAG, the African American Association of Ghana.
True.
But it speaks to me as well, having returned.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Brilliant. Do you speak Twi? Because you're saying Sankofa really well, you're mentioning Kobina Nyarko really well.
Well, here's another one of Kobina Nyarko. Okay. It's called Fish Galaxy, from 2014. And he has lent this to our collection. And it is, you could see how his work has evolved over time. And I like to think about how Ghana has evolved, the United States has evolved, our relationship has evolved over time. It's flanked by paintings from a college classmate of mine from Brown University. And these paintings remind me of summers I spent at my grandmother's house in a rural part of Massachusetts. Okay. And this artist is Dan Gottsigen. Okay. And this one is The Backwoods, Summer Light. And it reminds me of the forest richness of Ghana. And I love walking through the forest, whether it's the Bobiri or the Ankasa forest or Kakum. It just
you know your forest
really, and especially as the U.S. is so re-engaged in climate and all of these environmental issues. It's really important. It's a global issue, and this just is a very peaceful work for me. And then this other one is called The Persistence of Memory from 2016. And that also speaks to me because of, you know, memories, places I go in Ghana that I remember having been to 20 or so years ago, and they stuck with me. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
okay,
work.
let's go look at some other things.
Okay.
I actually have a painting my mom did. I don't know if you want to see
yes,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah. So she did this watercolor. She liked to do watercolors, and it just reminds me of her.
This is beautiful. Wow.
This is probably a marshy scene
Yeah.
of Cape Cod, where she grew up,
Oh, she grew up in Cape Cod.
in Massachusetts.
You know, the more I listen to you, the more I hear the classic scholar, you know, the English, the literature scholar, but also the art enthusiast and critic, and it's beautiful. It's wonderful to hear.
Thank you so much. This is another Coben and Yorko. It's actually not part of the official Art in Embassy loan collection. It's one I purchased in October 2019. 2019, wow, what year is it?
Yeah, they're in 2021
At
now.
his studio in Takoradi, which was a feast for the eyes.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. You have a love for fish and water, and is it because of where you grew up?
Perhaps. I also really like the color blue for some reason.
Okay.
And this work here by Arnold Sobers, he calls it I've Known Rivers Blue. It's a mixed media on, you know, chiseled plywood with different paint and these framing elements. And to me, I grew up, as I mentioned earlier, alongside the Hudson River. And to me, it just jumped out at me as the Hudson River.
It's wonderful. Okay, so the artist is based in New York.
Well, in fact, he's from New York, but he lives in Accra. He's an
Oh.
African-American who's married to our head of the USAID bilateral mission
Oh, wow.
here in Ghana.
Wow, wow.
So, and he's very versatile. We have a few other of his works that I'd like to share with you. Maybe we can go to those right now, over here. These are two portraits
and day.
that he's done. This one is called Bliss,
Okay.
and it's graphite giclée. Giclée is a kind of high-tech printing, and these are also on loan as part of the collection.
Okay.
Now this one is a Coben and Yorko, one of his latest, and I saw it at the visit to the studio, and I said, oh my gosh, this is incredible. It's such a statement about the environment. I mean, all of this plastic that previously in his work, it was fish. Fish came from the sea, but now plastic is coming from the sea. So it's a very powerful environmental message as well.
These are all the recycled pieces. There's a broken comb, broken toothbrush, bottle
Plastic
cap,
spoon.
plastic spoons, pegs. There's everything in there.
Yeah, and he calls this one Bluefish.
It's beautiful.
Now, another artist who I have two in this collection from, but also two works of my own, I'll show, it's Cynthia St. James. And I purchased this Celebrate Juneteenth giclée print, a limited edition that she made. I purchased it last year, and she even wrote a nice little note to me, but it's so exciting. This year, for the very first time, it's a federal holiday, Juneteenth, and it really marks not the declared end of enslavement in the United States, but the day actually everyone got the memo. The last group in Texas became aware that they were now free, and it took quite some time. So.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.
Wow, Aiko!
Right. Right. Lift every voice and sing. We just celebrated Juneteenth recently. President Joe Biden announced that Juneteenth was now a federal holiday, and in honor of all my Black brothers and sisters in the United States of America and beyond in the diaspora, that was for you.
This one is a very moving piece from 2014 called Women Lifting Their Voices. And you can see Florida Memorial University is one of the historically Black colleges and universities in Florida. And they're people of different hues, and they're happy, and they're singing. And song is very important in the United States, in Ghana, as you've demonstrated what a beautiful voice you have.
Thank you.
And this is her typical style without features on the faces.
Okay.
There's another one over here. In this collection we have a couple of interesting textile pieces, and you may have seen some of the kente I have draped over the couches. But this is Sandra Lauterbach. She's a textile artist in Los Angeles. This one is, I don't know, I just thought it was a lot of fun, you know, and I put it near the piano because of the black and white, and it's just
that's an interesting connection.
It's got springs in it, and it's a little different.
It is.
And she's got another one over here. This one is similar, but much smaller. And, you know, it's just kind of fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
Lots of different patterns. But I like how you've placed it near the piano because of the black and white bits.
Yeah, like the keys, ebony and ivory. Yeah. We have over here, this is a work, it's untitled. It's actually done digitally, iPad art, by a grade school classmate of mine who happened to be a triplet, Ami Ziner, and she did it on the iPad 2. And I just thought it spoke to the technological, forward-looking dynamism of Ghana. And so you can see what you want to see in it. But it's also very, very colorful and high-tech. Be like the little engine that could.
Yes. And the book is here. It's here. So that's her, the little blue engine that could. We spoke about her earlier. And Her Excellency has said that she realized it much later in life, but this little blue engine that could has inspired her and guided her in so many ways throughout her life and her career. Oh, what do we have here?
Well, this is a little display about some of the works produced by various female entrepreneurs with whom we've worked closely. We have an amazing program that we kicked off in 2019 called the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, or AWE. It's a really great acronym.
Yeah, it is.
And the program is largely online, where people learn kind of basic business skills, how to make a business plan, how to do profit and loss, how to do marketing and things like that. And then there's a key feature is mentorship of other more experienced women entrepreneurs who can help. And then they have a network of people who can help support each other.
Okay, are these the mentors? Are they American entrepreneurs?
They're Ghanaian women.
Okay, they're Ghanaian women. Oh, so Ghanaian women who have already made it in entrepreneurship, and they're mentoring upcoming women entrepreneurs.
That's right.
That's amazing.
And they're not necessarily even all entrepreneurs, because mentorship can be very, very broad. And many, if not all of them, are alumni of different programs that we have at the embassy. Okay. So here we have another Ama. I'm actually Ama.
Oh, yeah, Ama. Oh,
Fafape Ama. She is known as the Mushroom Queen. Yeah. So she produces these oyster mushrooms, and we've encouraged her, and she received a grant to help scale up her business.
Wonderful. Made in Ghana.
Yes, and they're delicious. Would you like to try some?
Yes, please.
Yeah. All right, there's a fork for you. I'll let you help yourself there.
Thank you.
Okay. Might need a napkin. There you go.
Thank you.
Okay. Very flavorful.
Very, very. Okay, so that's the Mushroom Queen. So look out for the Mushroom Queen and go buy her mushrooms. And
then, okay, here we have, these are a collection of waist beads, but Americans don't always wear waist beads, so we can make other nice beaded configurations. Yes. This goes with anything.
It's lovely. And beads look fabulous on you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Well, they're a little busy. I already got some beads going, and see if I can take these off without too much damage.
Okay, there we go.
And so Vera Obeng, has a beautiful marketing and packaging, Taltohoma Ventures. And
Vera Obeng's name stands out for me because I know she's also a photographer.
I'm learning something. I learn something every day.
Yeah, she's also a photographer, so it's very inspiring to see that she's done this. I know she does this, but she's come this far and that she's done it with the U.S. Embassy. I think it's brilliant.
And these are beautiful. This is a beautiful collection.
Gorgeous.
And again, these aren't just people who are operating on their own. They hire people that are small enterprises that we've helped scale up, and they have lots of employees. And they've survived during the pandemic. This is Kate Paflo, and she makes beautiful products, natural beauty products, using a lot of shea butter. We actually have a very big program throughout the Sahel and northern Ghana.
Okay. May
I? Please. Yeah.
Okay. So this is lemongrass. Oh, thank you.
It's got a nice fragrance.
Lemongrass, tea tree, vitamin E. Nice divine. And the packaging.
The packaging is beautiful and for export. And again, as these entrepreneurs scale up their products, there's a possibility of participating in the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act for duty-free export into the United States. So we connect the alumni of these programs with our economic and commercial people as well at the embassy. And we have a regional USAID, Agency for International Development program, that focuses on economic development. And we're doing a lot with shea, and we're linking communities of shea processors in the north with US companies, even like Burt's Bees, Perfectly Posh. I've inaugurated a couple of different shea processing facilities. And knowing that there's a steady market really encourages people to continue with the work.
Absolutely.
And we're also looking at protecting the shea parklands. Next, we have another beauty product line, Pima Naturals by Patience Kisiedu. Shampoo, black soap, again, beautiful packaging. Coconut, it's nice recycling. You know, these make wonderful gifts when we go back and visit our friends in the States.
I'm sure people love them.
And then the last one for today is Akua Serwa Ansa, La Reine Beauty. And again, more personal hygiene products, beauty products made of natural materials. Well, again, in some of the artwork, we talked about the linkages across the ocean, and these are also commercial and economic linkages. And we're very determined to help support the private sector in Ghana, which is the engine
Absolutely.
of economic growth. So that gets back to the book.
It
the little
does.
engine that could.
And you're supporting a lot of women.
Indeed, indeed.
Lady engines.
Right, right. So because of the pandemic, we knew it was safer to be visiting with people outdoors in well-ventilated spaces. So the embassy was kind enough to build us this beautiful summer hut.
It is beautiful.
And it
And
just
so
feels
natural.
so peaceful. And let me, aquaba.
Ah, thank you.
So you notice we have a ramp to come here.
Yeah.
And it's handicap accessible. And in fact, if someone is coming with a wheelchair,
Can open it up.
we can open it up more widely.
Back to your summer.
Yes, it all
those
ties
years
together.
ago. Brilliant.
And anyway, so we can fit, I don't know, 8 to 10 people in here for a meal or a meeting. And we can actually pipe some music out here.
Oh, there's a fan.
We have some
There's
fans,
speakers.
some lights. So I
Oh,
think
yes.
that even, you know, when we overcome the pandemic, this will be a great place to have parties.
Party spot.
Indeed.
It's beautiful and very smart, very ingenious, very ingenious.
So
Typically American.
well, I like to think it's very Ghanaian. I like the
Ghanaian
rustic
too.
look.
Ghanaian too.
And we have something very high tech just over here. I'm very excited. This is kind of the newest thing we have
Okay.
at the residence, and it is a solar panel sunflower, and it moves
Oh,
with
I've heard
the
about
sun.
this.
So now it's afternoon. It's pointing like a sunflower
Yeah.
would point right to the sun, and when the sun goes down, it folds up very slowly and it brushes itself and cleans the panels off so that it's ready for the next day. And in the morning it wakes up and it's actually facing the other direction where the sun comes
this
up.
is so cool.
And then during the day, like a sunflower, it just
It just
moves very slowly with the sun.
It's so cool.
So we're piloting it.
Okay.
It's been,
So does it power certain parts of the residence?
right now it's powering the part near the pool
Okay.
and the pool house, and we're seeing how it works with something that turns on and off, like a pump.
Okay.
And then we'll see if we maybe install something like this at other residences that might want a more steady power supply.
Okay.
But anyway, it's called the Smart Flower Solar, and we ordered it from the United States.
I
and-
think
yeah.
it's in order. I mean, the U.S. recently rejoined the Paris Treaty. Is
Yes,
that right?
the Paris Climate Agreement.
Yes, yes. And I mean, I think it speaks a lot. It speaks volumes about how when the U.S. decides to jump in on something, go all in.
Well, in fact, you know, we have former Secretary of State John Kerry, who is the President's Special Envoy for Climate, and he wakes up in the morning and goes to sleep at night, like the sunflower, thinking about the environment and the climate with great urgency. And it's not just a tree-hugging situation, it's also an incredible business opportunity. And when you look at harnessing innovation and green technologies, this is a big growth area in ways we can't even imagine. Like a year ago, I couldn't have imagined something like this. So the future is very exciting, and I think Ghana has a lot of very creative and entrepreneurial people who were looking for solutions to some of the world's problems coming from Ghana's.
Okay, and I mean, recently there was a tree planting. We had Green Ghana Day. I didn't see you at the. I know a group of diplomats, members of the Diplomatic Corps in Ghana, were planting. I think you were away.
No, I was busy planting trees at my embassy.
Okay. Oh, so you were greening the embassy.
Yes. We have a little nursery now, and
greening
we're
the
looking forward to
embassy.
transplanting those.
But I'm told
Yeah.
you planted a tree here even before Green Ghana Day came along. Yeah, you planted a tree here at the CMR.
Yes.
And I would like to see it if you don't
Oh,
mind.
we're heading that way. That's great, Appy. And in fact, this is a beautiful, strong, young, flamboyant tree.
Wow.
It's going to have beautiful red flowers, and the birds that you hear will enjoy it. And look, it's taller than me, and it's only 1 year old.
It is.
I have to tell you, we put it in the ground a year ago, and it was a stick. And I thought, oh, will it even grow? And look at it. I mean, we have a great gardening team that's done most of the care and feeding of it. but it's very strong and healthy now.
But what prompted you to plant it?
Well, it was World Environmental Day.
Okay.
And so we did a video, posted something about it, and there it is. And now I was happy. I planted so many trees. I planted one in Lake Wasumtree. I planted some at the embassy. We had some planting at another place near Dodua. So I'm really excited. I also mentioned we're going to be planting some shea saplings that we planted here a year ago.
Yes, it's a beautiful tree, and it's great to see that after 1 year, it's a steady growing toddler. Did you name it by any chance?
I think it might be Abena.
Abena. Okay, you're born on Tuesday. Hi, Abena. Beautiful tree.
Yeah.
Well, Your Excellency, thank you so much for inviting me to your residence. I'm here at the Chief of Missions Residence of the United States of America, spending time with Her Excellency Stephanie Sanders Sullivan. She is the Ambassador of the United States of America to Ghana, and we've spoken about how she grew up from Connecticut to New York, and now Maryland, where she's not in Ghana or some other amazing place in the world. We've seen her wonderful art collection, which we now know was inspired by her mother, who is an artist and an art teacher. And we've learned so much about her. We learned that it's okay to fail, but you must get up, and that's where you find your road to success. And we're inspired, of course, by the little blue train, the little blue engine that can. And Her Excellency has given me a lot to think about today, and I hope she's giving you a lot to ponder on as well. That sometimes the simple things are all you need to get through life and chart its course. And Your Excellency, I know we'll be spending some more time together next week because there's some exciting things that we have to discuss, like the Peace Corps and the United States Peace Corps, and how you're celebrating 60 years, and it all began in Ghana.
That's right. I look forward to that moment when we have a chance to discuss it further.
And also get to talk about your experience with the Peace Corps in then Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Indeed.
Yes. So thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
Oh, I'm so impressed with your skills. You've drawn stories out of me that I haven't shared very much, and then you have such a beautiful voice. It's really a pleasure to spend time with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to take my accolades from Her Excellency Stephanie Sullivan, and we'll be back next week. And when we return, we learn more about her, and specifically her experiences in Ghana all the way back 1997 and coming forward to 2018 up until the present. My name is Apioko. I'll see you next week.